Hello everybody, today something different on the video. I want to talk about a few things. This is more like an end of January vlog, if you like. Just talk about a few of the things that got my interest this month. I want to start off by talking about something I don't think I've really done much of on this channel, and talking about favorite scents or scents I really like that don't come in perfume form. I've got three things that I thought I'd show you, which have come about pretty much from talking to my perfume friends about nostalgic smells, and one of the most nostalgic smells for me, particularly as a child, is my mum. My mum was a big fan of covering us in talc after getting bathed as kids or whatever. And one particular talcum powder that was used in my house when I was a child is this one here. It is called Borotalco. I think it's an Italian product because it used to be it used to be pretty easy to get here when I was a kid, and then I stopped seeing it in stores. And a few years back, when I went to Italy, I did see this on the shelves in some grocery stores, but you can't find it in any of the major supermarkets here. And I happened to be in my local pharmacy today, and I saw this, and I just had to get it just to smell. I mean, you can imagine what it smells like. It's essentially, this talcum powder has got like an amber accord in it. It's like a very sweet, clean amber accord. Obviously, you associate this smell with babies, and it really it's such a nice smell. Like, I'm going to be really tempted to just sort of put some on my skin after showers before I go to bed, or it's so lovely. Anyway, that's Borotalco. It is a different smell to a lot of other commercially available talcum powders, and I think it's just like, even the packaging really hasn't changed much since from what I remember as a kid. So it's a real blast of nostalgia for me, and so that's a really nice scent that comes in talcum powder form. The next one I want to talk about is actually a hair product. This is actually a product that my daughter uses for her hair, and it's from a brand called Moroccan Oil, and this is like a curl defining treatment. So it's essentially a curl definer. It's like in a cream form. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on my hand. But when she started using this, I noticed that it smelled really nice, very pleasant, but also really familiar. And for a few days, I just could not put my finger on what I was smelling or why I felt like I'd smelled this before. Then all of a sudden, the light bulb went off, and Moroccan Oil curl defining cream smells like Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. That's once I made the connection, I can't unsmell it now. And like that for me in my late teens, early 20s, was pretty much almost a signature scent, except everybody was wearing it, like pretty much like everyone wears Sauvage now. But this like really brought back memories of that smell, and it's really pleasant, and I think it's nicer to smell this kind of thing in your hair. So that's Moroccan Oil. These aren't cheap, by the way, but it's a nice product. The other non-perfume scent I want to talk about, and this was recommended to me by a perfume friend of mine. It's basically a body spray deodorant, and it's called Malizia Uomo Vetiver. This is you've got to specify the Vetiver one. Now, it was recommended to me as something that's, relatively cheap product, but smells really, really good. And I'll just spray some. And it's really nice. It's good like when you're comparing it to stuff like, all your Axe and Lynx body sprays. This has a point of difference, and there is like a kind of synthetic vetiver note in there, but strangely enough, this also reminded me of a perfume that I used to own and no longer do. Not because I don't like it, it sort of became part of my whole decluttering process, and that is Dunhill Edition. It really reminds me of that scent. So this month really, I haven't been able to do a side by side, but this month has been like a few instances of smelling things that remind me of other things, and without doing a proper side-by-side comparison, I can't say for sure that they're similar, but it's just nice to know that you can get some good, cheap scented products. If you're a body spray user, I would probably use something like this as a gym scent rather than actually use my perfumes as a gym scent, because it's a deodorant for starters. Hopefully, all I want to do is smell, fresh when I get in there. And when I leave the gym, I don't usually smell fresh, and no amount of perfume or deodorant's going to help with that. But it's just a nice thing to sort of freshen up before you hit the gym. Now, I'm going to move on to perfume. So I was sent a sample. Let me get my box of goodies here. I was sent a sample of a perfume that I've been interested in trying for quite some time. It's from the house of Santa Maria Novella. Now, I have mentioned before when I was in Florence, I went into Santa Maria Novella and essentially pretty much smelled everything, but all in the space of less than a couple of hours. So it was like just test strip after test strip, blotter after blotter. And so I don't have much recollection of a lot of those scents. There were some standouts. Since then, I've seen on social media quite a few posts about Melograno from Santa Maria Novella. Now, Melograno is the Italian word for pomegranate. Look, I've eaten pomegranate, but I wasn't overly familiar with the actual smell from that fruit. I guess I had expectations that this was going to be quite a fruity scent, but it really, really surprised me. So I'll just go through my thoughts when I was smelling it, and I'm just going to refamiliarize myself again. So this, even though I checked the notes later, the official notes later on, this has a very reminiscent opening, aldehydes fizziness of something like Chanel No. 5, okay? So it was a combination. I'm smelling Chanel No. 5 now, but it also had elements of Rochas Femme. So this is a Chypre, but it's one of the sort of brightest Chypres I've smelled. It's a really interesting composition. The fruitiness is there, and I wouldn't have been able to tell you that I'm smelling pomegranate. There's just this general bright, fizzy fruitiness. It is almost somewhere, it almost lands somewhere between citrus and stone fruit, if you like. It's that kind of hybrid smell. But what I found interesting when this did finally dry down, as I said, the opening reminded me of a couple of classic perfumes. It's got that very classic perfumey sort of opening. When it dried down for me, and again, there was no side-by-side comparison, but when it dried down for me, it really brought to mind a perfume that I haven't smelled in a long time. I did a review of it, but this is a couple of years ago, and that's Chypre Palatine from MDCI Parfums. It made me very keen to use up the rest of this little sample and test this properly, but also made me want to try that perfume again because I remember really enjoying it. Not quite enough to spend on the bottle, but who knows, my mind might be swayed again. So that's Melograno from Santa Maria Novella. I highly recommend you trying it if you like the sounds of that sort of kind of composition perfume. Just in passing, I bought it in just because it was my scent of the day today. I'm really, really enjoying Chanel Pour Monsieur. And if you're wondering if I've made it into 2023, we're at the end of January already, whether I've bought any new bottles, the answer is yes. All right, so again, under the influence of friends who smell things and then recommend them or recommend I smell them, I did exactly that. I smelled this particular perfume in the store because I had never smelled this one. I'd smelled the version that was marketed to men and remember it being okay, but just not anything amazing. Then I put this on skin and I happened to find a really good price online and I just bought it because this is Epic Woman by Amouage. I don't think this camera is doing that beautiful green bottle any justice. Okay, three things that stood out to me about this. Firstly, the opening. I get the most exhilarating, bracing pine foresty note. I don't even know if pine is listed as one of the notes. It's a very green foresty note to me. And without blinking, this rose appears. And I don't know why, but I picture this as a pink rose because it's not a deep, heavy rose that runs right through the middle of this perfume. It's light, but it's just has this presence. I've been watching a few movies recently, and you know, Oscar season is coming up, and there's, you know, reading about a bunch of different critically acclaimed movies. The way the rose acts in this perfume, it's like when you're watching a film and there is one particular character that's just sort of a supporting character, and they just chew the scenery and just steal every scene and become the star without meaning to. That's what happens with the rose here, because you've got that lovely green woody opening. In the base, the most amazing, beautiful incense, frankincense. I think there might be myrrh in here. I don't know, but it feels like a really rich, thick Technicolor incense accord in the bottom. But this rose just you know, sort of holds its line the whole way through, and it complements the opening. You know, has its own starring scene in the middle, and then in combination with the incense in the base just becomes something else. And like my other favorite Amouage, Fate Woman, this has levels, it has facets, it has complexities, layers. Amouage, well, the older Amouage, particularly the women's line, really just hit it out of the park. I can't recommend you smell this highly enough, especially if you like rose and incense perfumes. That's Epic Woman. That is my first purchase of 2023. I'm out of things to talk about. It's already been a long video probably, but I wanted to give you an update. little bit about what's going on with my nose and smelling. And other than that, I'll see you soon with another video, hopefully one about lavender perhaps, or another review, who knows. But I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.